Welcome everyone. I'm excited to be moderating this conversation with the founders of Juniper Strategies, where we're going to take on the timely and provocative question, can strategy be automated? Today we're going to explore the challenges around the strategic process and how Juniper Strategies is adding AI, models, and data to improve the strategic workflow. So Kevin, you've been working across the entire strategic lifecycle for over 20 years. What are some of the biggest challenges you've seen as companies take on the strategic process challenge?
I think the biggest issue is and has always been time. I mean, leaders' days are already full of tasks like attending meetings, meeting with customers, dealing with emails, all the things that just are always a high priority. The whole strategic development and execution process, that's one where you think of words like strategic thinking, research, analysis, and those are just things that you want long, extended periods of time where you can focus, and there's just no space to do that in today's complex business world.
So the big question, can strategy be automated?
I think the question isn't just whether strategy can be automated, but really what parts of strategy and the strategic process can be automated. The short answer is yes. There are many parts of the strategy workflow that are ripe for automation because they are the most time-consuming and repetitive tasks. The clearest examples are things such as market and competitive monitoring, but can also build up to things like scenario planning and generation or assumption generation, financial forecasting based on sustainable competitive differentiation and closed loop with operational performance. So on the flip side, I have heard people say flatly that strategy cannot be automated because it is always the work of human ingenuity and judgment. Our perspective is that that's too narrow of a view of what it means to automate strategy. There are parts of the strategy workflow that absolutely benefit from automation to inform the people who ultimately will make the decision and the judgment. But those people still benefit from having technology inform and automate their strategic decision.
That's great. So I know at Juniper Strategies, you're creating a fairly holistic and broad offering to enable the strategic process. What kind of impact will your offering have on strategy?
Well, there are a number of companies that are adopting AI tools and technologies to enhance the strategic process today. What we specifically set out to develop was looking at the places, what are the critical parts that are most complex and most time consuming. And those are the tasks that we wanted to figure out how to use AI to improve. Now, one of the things that you're probably familiar with is, and we call it the strategy execution divide. Often strategy is this activity that happens off in a corner somewhere, and then the rest of the organization is tasked with executing it and hitting the goals. We wanted to eliminate that divide and create one fluid, continuous, agile process, and we call that operational fusion, and that's really what we've delivered.
Yeah, it's taken us over 20 years to do it, but it is possible to develop a holistic causal model for predicting business performance in different scenarios, and that's exactly what we've built with Juniper's patent-pending model. It's holistic because it looks at all the functions and aspects of a business and has a sophisticated, multi-layered approach to evaluating trade-offs across all of them. So it really is built to be quantitative with a highly advanced assessment to cut through complexity so you can make a clear and informed decision. Now, the word causal often intrigues a lot of people because everybody wants to understand how you really can assess cause and effect in a business context. But the principle is simple, that customers will, on aggregate, choose the solution that they perceive to deliver the highest value at the lowest cost. And so we at Juniper look at both sides of that equation, both the customer value and business efficiency, to assess your opportunity to drive financial performance under a diverse set of strategy scenarios so that you can decide and execute with confidence toward your business objective.
Now, the technology sounds awesome. It sounds really exciting, but in my experience with strategy, human ideation leads to a great deal of innovation and differentiation. How are you making sure that human ideation stays a part of the strategic process?
Well, Jamie, let me take that one. I think I completely agree with you. Ideation is critical to achieving a differentiated strategy. But I think if you really step back for a moment, ideation is multiple steps, And what I've seen in my experience is that it's the combination of ideation and validation of those ideas that leads to success. Now, you've probably seen, you can get a team or a brainstorming group and they can come up with your list of 100 great ideas. The hard work is in taking that list and figuring out the feasibility, can it be done? What's the probability of success? And it's that second part that I think the AI tools can really help with. And so when I think about an organization in human-centered ideation, absolutely need that, but I want to pair that with the ways that you can quickly validate, get to the best decision, and then align your whole team for implementation. And I think that's what you're going to see going forward.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know the validation piece can be incredibly time consuming, and it's great that you guys are taking that on. Now, I know you already have clients that are using the technology and the offering and the process today. Can you share some real world examples?
I'll give you a couple, in fact. So in one case, the company wanted to close that strategy and execution loop that Kevin was just describing and make some strategic decisions around the future of portions of their portfolio. So they wanted to monitor for external changes that might be cropping up and might challenge their current strategy, but also do it in a way that they could identify and set up leading indicators so that they could pivot and react quickly before those changes turned into problems for their business. And so using the Juniper offering, together we identified and projected the range of performance in different strategic scenarios, identified the external factors that would have the most material impact on future performance, and set up a path to monitor for those changes over time so that they could make the right decision at the right time. In another example, we applied that same approach in a significant business transformation, almost a turnaround situation, where the goal was to improve performance and increase valuation. And in this case, the same Juniper approach helped the leadership team really quickly project and compare outcomes so that they could quickly make the right business decisions in record time and set themselves up for success. So the results were almost immediate and are continuing to drive impressive numbers.
So did you see these teams go through a behavioral change as they started to bring AI into the picture and start to use the processes that you recommend?
Yeah, we really did. I mean, we talked previously about, how the AI tools can help you with things like goals and that. But, when you talk about the team members themselves, a little bit like ideation, when you have tools to assist with scenario generation and evaluation, what it means for the individual teams and leaders is that they can go into any discussion with a level of confidence that they just haven't been able to have before, and it really drives a good dialogue. And then when you think about, when you have to deliver and you're on the implementation side, I think the thing we've seen is obviously hitting the goals first time. I mean, that's the ultimate outcome, and everybody, high five and they're liking it. But the other thing we've seen is when you build like this, inevitably something changes in the external world, and your initial plan just isn't valid anymore. I mean, something has to change, but because of the kind of support you can get from the AI tools, you can quickly align around that pivot and what you need to do so you can recover from any unexpected income. And that just, again, gives people confidence, and it makes the teams aligned around what the next steps are.
Great. Well, we talked about a lot of great ideas and process today, but if there's one thing that the leaders and the listeners take away from this discussion, what would you want it to be?
Yeah, I think the key thing is not to be afraid of leaning into strategy automation. Really take advantage of this and lean into how it can improve your strategic and business outcomes. Strategy automation, again, doesn't mean automating all parts of the strategy workflow. It means automating those parts of it that are repetitive, take significant time and manual effort, and then leveraging technology to inform humans to make better decisions. So it's not about replacing people. It's about making those people better at developing and deploying strategy to drive value creation.
Great. Well, this has been awesome. Thank you very much for your time today. Darcy, Kevin, it's great to see you both again and to have this conversation today.
Thanks, Jamie. Great being here.
Great. Thank
Great
you.
to be with you, Jamie.